Peace, everyone. I wish you all keep healthy and fit while you're watching this video. Well, let's discuss about fasting and Ramadan within the concept and the context of Quran. As we all aware, fasting is done in a period called a month of Ramadan, and that complete month people do fast. Well, that is something. I'm not talking about it or denying what they do and the benefit what they get, all in the hands of God, to whom they fast, thinking that that is the instruction. Let it be. That's every individual's business. But let's analyze what exactly Quran has presented. As we all aware, fasting is not something new to Arabia. It didn't come all of a sudden. Fasting was there. For that, let's go to chapter number 2, in which the complete fasting is mentioned within few limited verses in the entire Quran. So chapter number 2, verse number 183, it states, O you who believe, observing fasting, fasting, is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you. So, this fasting is not a kind of beginning from the period of Muhammad, because it is very clear within the context of Quran itself, as it was prescribed for those before you. Normally in the context of Quran, those who before you is normally given to the people who were surrounded to people of Muhammad, and they were people of book like Christians, Jews, those who followed the books like Injil and Torah. So it says, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you. So it's not a new thing. Let's keep it in mind for our continuation of the analysis. Yes, then let's see how many number of days to fast. In the same chapter 2, verse number 184, it states, after saying this, let me continue. O you who believe, observing fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, that you may become pious, al-muttaqun in Arabic, for a fixed number of days. For a fixed number of days. But if you are ill or on a journey, the same number from other days. And as for those who can fast with difficulty, and the verse continues, that is not the point that I'm going to take today. For a fixed number of days, for this, the phrase used is ayyamum mawdudat. This ayyamum mawdudat, and it is translated as for a fixed number of days. So how do you exactly perceive what a fixed number of days means literally? So that I cross-checked or compared some other verses within the Quran which befit, and I found only one phrase similar to it, ayyamu mawdudat, for a fixed number of days or a appointed number of days. For that, there is a verse in the same chapter verse number 203. It means chapter number 2, verse number 203, 203. And it states, وَذُكُرُ اللَّهِ, let me read it in Arabic. وَذُكُرُ اللَّهِ فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْدُودَاتٍ. It means what? And remember God during the fixed number of days or appointed days. So here also it's mentioned fixed number of days. It is mentioned ayyamu ma'dudat. Remember the phrase ayyamu ma'dudat. Same in 203 chapter number 2 and chapter number 2 184 for fasting also mentioned. This particular verse is not for fasting, it is in the period of Hajj. So, and remember God during the appointed days. Fi ayyami ma'dudat. It continues. But whosoever hastens in a hurry to leave in 2 days, there is no blame on him. And whosoever stays on further, there is no blame on him too. So, what exactly ayyam ma'dudat means in this verse? Remember God during the fixed number of days, but whosoever hastens to leave in 2 days. So what exactly fixed number of days? It has to be only 3 days. And it further continues and says, and whoever wants to move on by not staying 3 days, but more than that, no blame. Even who stays only 2 days, it doesn't matter. But the given period is ayyamu maududat, is 3. Ayyamu maududat for me is undeniably 3 based on this particular verse. So let me go back to chapter number 2 again for fasting. So it says, for a fixed number of days you have to fast. That is clear, isn't it? Okay, now let's go to verse number 185 in the same chapter number 2. It states, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس. What it means? شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس. The month of Ramadan in which was revealed the Quran, a guidance for mankind and clear proofs for the guidance and the criterions. But here, the matter I want to discuss, the word usages, Ramadan and Shahr. Is really Ramadan a month here? Or is it really Shahr a month here? For me, there is no Arabic month mentioned in Quran, and not necessary either. Here Ramadan, people have taken like a month which keeps changing every year by 12 days, or there's a pattern how it comes. If the fasting comes 1st of July this year, and it will come in the next year 18th of June or something like that, according to or the moon, what they count. But a Ramadan means hot, that everyone knows. Every Arabic month, for that matter, is based on the season, what they perceive in the atmosphere. Like in any other part of the world, they use the word for months or for season based on what they see, because it should not change. They should see the particular period with that particular name. It cannot change. Ramadan being the meaning of hot, it should not come in winter. That is impossible. This is kind of nonsensical for me. Ramad is hot. It should remain in hot forever. Because remember, fasting is not for the people of Muhammad. It was there before. Keep that in mind. And Shahr here, Shahr Ramadan, Shahr can be complete full moon. So let's continue. So whoever of you sights the Shahr, he must observe fasting. 8, not in 8. Fasting it, yasumuhu, fasting it. And whoever is ill, this part I skip because it is not the subject I am going to discuss here. So Shahr being complete full moon, and Ramad means hot, when to fast. In my perception, in my comprehensive understanding, it has to be a hot period, very hot period, and full moon. Full moon everyone can see. It is not like a crescent at the beginning of a month, right? Beginning of a month you will see, maybe you will not see, even for a couple of days you will not see, and you will not be able to do it exactly according to the instruction. But full moon, even though it is kind of cloudy day or whatever, it will be visible for you at some part of night. Full moon will be like full moon in our vision for at least 3 to 4 days. You will not be able to say it is waxing or waning part of the moon. No, full moon will remain minimum for 3 days for sure, and at least maximum for 4 or 5 days. I do not know, it depends on the places you live, but for me at least I can see in the place, in the location I live, 4 days I can see minimum. So clear instruction given for 3 days of fasting, that doesn't contradict here. 3 days of full moon in a hot season should be fasted. That's my clear understanding within the Quran. Well, on top of that, fasting is prescribed for some other reasons also, like in 582, 489. The reasons are like punishment. Fasting is given as penalties for continuous 2 months or similar to that. So fasting is not something that has to do on a continuous period like 1 month. It is given as a punishment for severe acts that done to mitigate it. The fasting is prescribed. So on that basis also we can consider 3 to 4 days. 3 days is what God has prescribed to fast. That is undeniable within the context. But someone who fasts for 1 month or 2 months, it's all up to him, and the benefits he gets or not, it's all in the hands of God. Further, I would like to take this particular verse also for in support of this. Chapter number 2 itself, 189. They ask you about the new moons. I would like to mention rather than new moons, the phases of moon. They ask you about the phases of moons. So these are signs. The phases of moons are signs to mark fixed periods of time for mankind and for the Hajj, pilgrimage. So here it is mentioned for Hajj, the phases, whether it is new moon or waxing moon or waning moon, whatever. These crescent moons will benefit for mark fixed periods, mawaqit, and for Hajj. Not clearly, it is not mentioned these new moons for Ramadan or fasting. It's missing here. That's a clear point to note. If Hajj can be mentioned over a period of 1 month, doing this new moon is much important. At the beginning, they see the crescent moon for Ramadan moon, and also to end it, they see the Shawwal, the next month moon. So these new moons are very important for fasting, but it is not mentioned. It is only mentioned for the fixed period mawaqit linnas wal hajj. So that is also a point that I have taken as comparison, as consideration also, to consider that fasting Allah God has given us only. The time for fasting during a day is given in the same chapter 287, and that is not the part I want to mention here, but I will mention a little, because it has mentioned eat and drink until the white thread of dawn appears. It means clearly at the dawn, when you are clear, you are good enough to perceive that this is more like dawn rather than the darker period of night. So that's the point. You should stop eating and drinking, and from then onwards it's clearly mentioned hatta, no, and eat and drink until white thread of dawn appears to you distinct from the black thread. Then complete your fasting till the nightfall. The word used is ilal layl. That is something that you have to reflect, ilal layl. So regarding that point, where the period that you have to fast from dawn to sunset or dawn to layl, night, I have one more video you can watch. I have the video name is when does actually night begin. So if you watch that video, perhaps you will be able to understand when to break your fast. Is it at sunset, or is it at night, at the beginning of night? So for me, the fasting is clearly mentioned in Quran. That is 3 days in hot period and full moon. Link for when does night begin is given in description.